Hello, everyone. My name is Kathy Martin, and I'm the creator of prealgebrateachers.com. Thank you so much for joining me today for our Math Stations training. Please let me know in the comments, if you don't mind, if you can see me and hear me, because I want to make sure that you can see the presentation, you can hear me, and as soon as I get a few confirmations that you can see and hear me, I'm going to share my screen with you. Thank you, Dan. You say that you can hear me and see me. Thank you, Tina. Thank you, Catherine. Okay, great. All right. Also, I would love to know where you guys are from and what you teach. Thank you again so much for taking time out of your precious summer, out of your busy, busy day for joining me today. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you so that you can see the presentation. Your screen is going to look a little bit crazy, so bear with me for just a second. All right, it's going to look real wild for a second here. All right, okay. Wow, we have so many people from all over the place. I love this. Dan, welcome from Pennsylvania. You teach 7th grade math. 7th grade math is totally my jam. Pamela from Florida, 6th grade, welcome. Hi, Sarah from Maine. You teach 7th grade math and science. Ooh, you are a busy girl. Catherine, you teach 8th grade pre-algebra and algebra. Welcome. Robin, you teach 7th grade math and algebra. Jillian, welcome. 7th, 8th from Massachusetts. Welcome. Carol, welcome from Alabama. You teach 5th and 6th and sometimes 7th. Wow. You guys have a lot on your plate. Wow. Thank you again for being here. Thank you for everything for your students. And what amazing teachers you guys are for being here with me. And I know you guys are amazing because you're here with me during your precious summer break. I know summer is like flying by, isn't it? Okay, so if you're just joining me, I know people are trickling it in. Welcome. Again, my name is Kathy Martin, and I'm the creator of prealgebrateachers.com. And I am coming to you today because I want to share with you all about how to make math stations easy and realistic. I was not a believer in math stations when I first started them because I did everything wrong, despite the fact that I did so much research. I went on several professional developments, and it was horrible when I started. And I don't want this to happen to you. So I created this training for teachers like you so that you can have success with stations from the beginning. So to increase your viewing pleasure today, I challenge you to silence your phones. I know that that's a big ask, but I want you to be fully with us during the next hour or so of our training today. And I know we are super connected, but I just want you to be fully present with us, ask questions, and get as much from the training in the next hour or so that you can. I also encourage you to participate in the chat. I fully believe in collaboration, and we are better together. We are stronger teachers when we can collaborate. So if you have any questions as we go, please feel free to put them in the chat and I will answer your questions. And also, now would be a great time to grab the strategy workbook that I sent you in your email. If you did not download and print that, that's totally okay. Now would be a great time to grab pen and paper if you need it, to take notes if you would like, but also please know that I will be sending you a replay of this presentation in case you need it. All right, so I think the biggest question when I first started with stations was, how do I make stations work in my classroom so I can teach my students, leave my classroom at a good time every day, and actually enjoy my life like a normal person? I would love to know, is this something you can relate to? I mean, isn't that what it's all about? You want to be able to be successful with your students, leave work at a reasonable hour instead of, being there till it's dark, and then enjoy your life as well. After today's training, you are going to feel totally in control, prepared to run stations in your classroom, and excited about stations, and I am super excited for you. Hang with me until the end and you'll be able to take advantage of a couple of freebies. The first freebie that you'll be able to take advantage of is my stations instruction card. I will show you what that looks like in a little bit. So you'll have more information on what that is, and it's awesome. And you'll also be able to download 1 hour of professional development in case you need hours. I know for me personally, I need 12 hours of professional development every year. So if your school district accepts online training as professional development, then you can print and then turn this into your school district. But just double check to make sure they do accept online trainings. Because I know for me, my school district just started accepting online trainings like a year ago. So let's talk about what you are going to learn today. We're going to be discussing 5 main topics: the basics of stations, getting started with stations, training and preparing your students, student accountability, and realistic stations that don't take up 10 years to set up. Because let's be real, nobody has time for that. Let's jump into the basics. I want all of us to be on the same page of exactly what stations are so that we can move forward, again, all on the same page. So what are stations? Stations are small group instruction, 15 to 30 minutes per station. Stations are to be used to review material only, okay? Never to teach new stuff. Review material only. Stations can be used to differentiate. Let's talk about some valid concerns with using stations in your classroom. I know if you are anything like me, you had some serious concerns, especially if you've never done stations before, or if you were like me, totally failed at stations. There is no time to set up and gather materials. So this is a huge concern, especially for those of you who are teaching multiple preps, multiple classes, multiple subjects. Absolutely, it feels like there is no time to gather materials. How do you enforce accountability when students work? And what activities can I actually use for stations? Like seriously, what do they look like? Don't worry, I will show you. Let's be realistic about our stations so students are actively engaged, which will allow us to reach all of our students' math needs. We all have such a huge range of students with varying abilities, and we just want to be able to reach all of their needs. It's totally possible. So let's talk about how to get started with stations. And this is so important because, as I told you before, I was not a believer in stations. And I went to several professional development that I personally paid for. And I did hours and hours of research on the internet on how to be successful with stations. And throughout my experience, throughout the whole entire process, I totally failed because nobody showed me how to actually get started. Because everything that I read, the three professional developments that I went to all had stations just like magically working already. So of course it was going to be this beautiful, easy, thing that people did in their classrooms. But when I implemented it, it totally sucked because nobody told me how to get started. So I want you to be able to get started with stations successfully and then have a successful school year all year long with stations. Okay, so remember, stations are meant for review materials only. I cannot stress this enough. I do not want you to teach new concepts using stations. It is for review only. So what can your math stations be? We're going to get a little bit more into details. So this is just a some quick examples of what stations can be. You can use task cards. I love task cards. You can use coloring pages. You can use spinner math, textbook pages. You might, if you are lucky enough to already have textbooks, you can use that. If you are lucky enough to use technology, you can use technology. Your stations can be makeup work, test corrections, and then your teacher table, which can be used for small group instruction, checking in, or conferencing. Again, I'm going to go over these with more depth a little bit later. These are just some simple ideas. Regardless of the type of stations you will use, I want you to introduce stations one at a time. This is very, very important. Because when I first started, this is what was happening. I mean, seriously, like you have multiple stations, kids working on different activities, and there's little old you trying to man all of this, dealing with behaviors. You have kids off task. You have kids who have questions about what to do with the activity because they don't understand. And it's mayhem. I mean, it is crazy town, right? And this is what everything on the internet was telling me. This is what all the professional developments were telling me is, yep, you're in the middle, you're walking around, and all your kids are doing 17 different things. So this is crazy. So let's not do this, okay? When you first start with stations, I want you to break up your students into their small station groups, and everyone is going to start with the same activity. So for me, when I first started, I love task cards, as I mentioned. Task cards are amazing. And if you're not using task cards, I highly suggest you do so. But so let's just take adding integers task cards as our example. So I'm going to break up my students into 4 or 5 kids in a group, and everyone's going to be working on adding integers task cards. This is so that you can explain how task cards work, and your students get used to working in small groups, and they get used to you walking around the room, answering questions as they come up, but they are practicing being independent from you as well, whatever the material or whatever the activity is. Then, as you continue to practice this, you can start to pull a small group if you would like. But notice that everyone is still working on the same activity. Then, as we are progressing and as we are practicing more with stations, now you can maybe introduce another activity. So you have kids working on, say, task cards, adding integers, and then you have another activity going on, maybe a coloring page with some maybe basic multiplication facts. And then you still have your station. You're not necessarily doing a whole nother activity, but you are just the third station itself. And you could be conferencing, you could be reteaching, you could be just simply checking in. But your students have now practiced stations enough where there are multiple activities going on and you with your own station. Let's be clear on the reality of stations. You'll have kids working at station 1 doing one activity. You have kids working at station 2 and you are in a station yourself, maybe pulling kids, and then you'll have the kid in green, blue, purple, and yellow who aren't at a station, because you will have kids who can't work in a station for whatever reason. Maybe they have a disability that does not really, that where stations is not the best means for them, or maybe they're having a bad day, or maybe whatever, right? And they can't work at a station, and that's fine. They can work independently at a table on their own. And if you have an administrator come in and say, hey, why is Johnny working by himself when everyone's at a station? All you have to do is say to your administrator, I'm differentiating for Johnny right now because this is what he needs. Okay. Amy asks, what is the timeline for integrating new stations in? Amy, I'm going to talk about that in just a little bit. So let's talk about the type of stations and the timing of stations. Stations will work whether or not you have 45-minute classes or 90-minute classes or something in between. So if you have 90-minute classes, you have so many options. You are so, so lucky that you have this amazing block of time to do stations. So some ideas, if you have a 90-minute class, is you can do 4 20-minute stations. Or you can teach for an hour each day, and then do 30-minute stations each day. So it's 4 stations all week long. And it can kind of break down something like this. Monday and Tuesday, non-station days, you can do your direct instruction, your direct teaching. Wednesday and Thursday, you teach for 30 minutes. You do your whole class review, and then you break up into stations. And then Fridays can be your fun Friday. It's kind of like you could do a game, or you have your test day, whatever it is, or catch-up day on Friday. Do you have 45-minute classes? No problem. You can break up your 45-minute classes into Monday, Wednesday, Friday being your non-station days, which is, your direct instruction teaching days. And then Tuesday and Thursday is when you have your stations. So on non-station days, say your Monday, Wednesday, you can start off with your bell ringer, your warm-up, your do now, whatever it is you want to call it. Then you can review homework for a few minutes. You have your direct instruction time, however way you teach. I personally teach using PowerPoint. And then the last 5 to 10 minutes, independent work, students start homework, they clean up, whatever it is that you do. And then on station days, you have your bell ringer, and then you have your stations for 20 to 30 minutes. So it kind of looks like this. Your Tuesday station, you have 2 stations, station A, station B, and then Thursday station, you have station C and station D. So it kind of break up like this. On Mondays, you have whole class instruction. Tuesdays, you have your stations. You have your 2 stations, and then your students will, rotate between the 2. Wednesday, you can reteach, review, whatever it is. If you're seeing kids are struggling from whatever it is you guys were doing on Monday, you could reteach that, go over. And then Thursday, again, 2 more stations, coloring page, and then a teacher station. More on that later. And then Friday is your catch-up day, test day, fun Friday. Let's talk about training and preparing your students. It's very, very important that you set clear expectations regarding the quality of work. So if I am first introducing task cards to my students, I need to set the clear expectations of how I want the task cards to be completed. How many task cards do I want them to complete during a station? They have to use my specific show your work paper, and do I allow them to use line paper? Do I allow them to write on the task card? So what is the quality of work for you? What is the expected quality of work for all the station activities that I include? So for me, it's going to include task cards, coloring pages, independent work. How are they supposed to behave using technology? How are they supposed to behave at my teacher station? Model and practice on the types of activities you expect your students to do on their own during a station. Your students have to know how to work independently without you so that stations will be successful. You have to model and train your students on how to move in and out of stations. Do they have to push in their chair? Do they just dump everything, in a box? Or do they have to put everything neatly away? This is just a very simple example of how I set up stations in my classroom. So when my students walk in, they will find their name and they will see what number they correspond to. So if you're Drake, you are at station 1. So Drake is going to know exactly where station 1 is, and he's going to go straight there. So again, this is everyone in my class for that particular class. And then this is how my classroom is set up. So if you see station 1, this is actually my teacher station. I have a rectangular table where I sit. Station 2 is I train my students because I only have 2 rectangular tables. So I train my students to pull tables. Let me back up. So the way my classroom is set up is I have 2 rectangular tables, and that is station 1 and station 3. All the mini squares in the center are my single desks that my students sit in, because I have a typical, rows of desks. So if you are at station 2, I train my students to pull desks and make a circle, and that's station 2. And then station 4 is my computer area. I only have one desktop. So that sits at the little desktop table. It's not really a rectangular table. It's kind of like a cubicle almost. And then I pull 3 singular tables to that area because I do have 3 Chromebooks. So I have 4 computers total in my classroom, and that's my technology station. So if you saw your name here, if you're Aiden and you're in group 3, then you will walk over to station 3 and then do the task at hand. So I just kind of wanted to give you a visual of what my classroom looks like. And you can set this up however way you want, but I have to work within the parameters of my class. So this is how I set it up. Model and practice and train your students on getting used to working on their own while you pull a small group. This allows you to differentiate, to touch base with students while your students are still working. And remember, we want to train them, and we do this by introducing the same assignment, we set the expectations, and we keep kids accountable. And the way that we do that is we introduce stations one at a time. Everyone does the same activity so that we can get to multiple activities. Okay, a couple things to think about. Which of your students cannot be in the same group ever? Okay, you're going to have kids who can't be in the same group for whatever reason. They don't like each other, or simply because they are hooligans when they are together. We can't have that. How will stations change or be omitted when there is a last minute sub? Personally, if I have to call in sick last minute, I don't even do stations. But if you have a sub that you know and that you trust and that you like, then maybe stations will still work with a sub. But in my experience, it's too much for a sub to handle, and I don't want that chaos. Can students get up during stations time? What are the rules, procedures for bathrooms during stations time? What will happen if students need supplies? What will happen if the instruction card goes missing? And how do students clean up each station? These are questions that I want to pose to you so that you can think about them for the unique needs in your classroom and for your unique students. I can't really answer these questions for you because everyone's classroom is different, but just things to think about. What if I realize one of the stations is too hard? What if I notice students struggling at a particular station? Give yourself time to reteach concepts. Remember, stations are only to be used to review prior concepts, not to learn new ones. Give yourself time to reteach expectations. Let's talk about student accountability. What actions can you take to ensure students are accountable for their work during stations time? Okay, so I have my stations card. And remember, this is going to be a freebie for you. It's a little hard to see, but I'm going to go through a little bit more close up of what this looks like. So if you look on the left-hand side, this has steps 1, 2, 3, and 4 on what they need to do. And I'm going to show you more specifically close up what this looks like. On the right-hand side, if you're looking at your screen, this is going to give your students information on what they do if they finish early, and it's going to give them information on what to do if they need more time. Okay, so this answers all possible questions for them. So step 1 says when they get to the station, it says, what do you do? Okay, you're going to answer all 15 task cards. You're going to use the corresponding task card answer sheet to show your work and number your task cards. So boom, they already know what to do. This explains it to them. Why you'll need the station? Well, you're going to need the station because I'm going to call you to my teacher station, and this is going to be part of your homework, so you're going to want to finish. So when they read this, they're going to know, oh no, she's going to check up on me. I better have something to show her. And it's going to be my homework tonight, so I should probably finish and not mess around so I have no homework. Check this before you say you're done. Okay, did you put your name on your paper? Did you answer every single task card question? And then did you show your work? So these are just some self-checking questions for my students before they say, I'm done, what do I do now? But this task card, instruction card will tell them what to do when they're done. Step 4, what to do when you're done with this activity. Put it in your binder, be ready to turn it in tomorrow, and then clean up and organize all your task cards before you leave the station. Also must complete a self-reflection sheet and give them to assess their work. It forces them to assess their behavior. So they have to tell me what stations they completed during the week. They have to check the box. Did I complete the full station? Did I try my best? And did I put away my work in an organized way? And then they have to tell me what grade they think they deserve and why. And it's really amazing and often funny because they'll say, I think I deserve a D because I don't think I deserve an F because I did complete 3 task cards, even though I was bugging David the whole time, but I wasn't bugging him all the time. I mean, I did complete 3 task cards. Or they'll say, I deserve an A because I completed all of it. I completed all my task cards. I put everything away and I helped Susie with one of her task card questions. And this self-reflection sheet also allows you to provide notes and feedback for your students if you feel the need to. And so my students can hand this in. I can read them, grade them, or I can just stamp it, initial it, and give it right back. There's no extra grading. And who doesn't love that? Be 100% sure students know and understand the expectations of their own work. Do not allow your students to half-ass stations without a consequence, okay? So no half-assing. So what can your consequences be? If my students are being complete, total just butt heads and turds, I just take the stations away. They love working in stations and it's a real punishment for them. So sometimes I will write individual students' attentions, or sometimes, depending on, the student situation, I will just have him work, or I will just have that student work by himself or herself. Okay, what questions do you have? Catherine says, would it be feasible to do stations during summer school? I have 3 90-minute blocks of 6th graders working on ratios and equations. Catherine, I think it is absolutely feasible to do stations during summer school. And I think it would be actually awesome to do stations in summer school, especially if you have 3 90-minute blocks. Wow, that's a long time. You would just have to really accelerate the training. If you have a smallish group, it's probably easier to do because you can really nip behaviors in the bud. You can answer questions right away. You can model for them. And I think it would be awesome for you to do this. You can really, really make it work during summer school. We have some really great, fun, interactive, not interactive, I shouldn't say that, but we have some really awesome resources for ratios and equations, actually. Lisa says, where do you find resources to use during station time? We have resources all inside of our lesson plan community. Pamela says, I can see the PowerPoint, but I cannot hear you. Oh no. Please refresh. Let's talk about realistic stations. So realistic stations. One of my favorite activities to do using stations is task cards. And like I said, if you're not using task cards, I just would love to I would love to recommend you do task cards. Task cards are great because they're so versatile. They're a great alternative to homework. I can promise you that administration loves to see alternatives to homework outside of your textbook. And task cards can be a great alternative for that. You can use task cards. Here's a picture of my students using task cards in their stations. It's a great station activity. And task cards are great as partner work, independent work, or whole group games. Another activity that I love to use are coloring pages. As an adult, I can personally say I love to color. It is relaxing. And whenever I give a coloring page at a station, that whole station is super quiet because they're focused on the work because they want to get to the coloring. It's no prep. All you have to do is print and go. And who does not love a no prep activity? And again, it's an awesome stations activity. I love using these math puzzles where one piece of the puzzle is the question and they have to match up the puzzle piece to the answer. Easy to set up, super easy. Last year, I started to incorporate these board games because I love board games. I'm really competitive, and these board games are perfect. This is a picture of my student, actually, my student Bailey. He's holding the question because he's playing with another student. And they go through the questions, they move about the board, and there's a winner at the end. And it's really, really fun. If you are lucky enough to have a textbook, and you feel free to use your textbook problems, for a station activity. You don't have to give the whole page. You don't have, you can assign as many or as little questions as you want using practice problems. If you have access to technology, I would highly encourage you to check out some of these platforms. I'm not going to go through every single one because we just simply don't have the time, but some of my favorites are Kahoot, Quizzes, Quizlet, and Prodigy. These are all free, and my personal favorite is Quizzes because it allows students to work at their own pace instead of having to wait for the whole group. You can include a catch-up station, and this can be for kids who are missing homework, they need to make up tests, or they simply need just a behavior break. And then you can have your teacher station. More on this later, I promise. Okay, so again, your math stations can be task cards, coloring pages, spinner math, board games, technology, textbook problems, makeup work, and a teacher table. Don't forget, you can always repurpose what you have. Things to think about to make your life easier. Can you use index cards for flashcards or for task cards? Do you already have worksheets for independent practice problems? Can you have students create their own station questions? Do you have tech that's easy to use? Do you have flashcards that you can use to review basic skills? Okay, how are we feeling about this? I saw some questions come in. Heather says, I have a smart board and have watched online games on the screen. Where to find these games? Heather, I'm so sorry. I do not have an answer for this because I do not have a smart board. But what I can do is I can look into it and get back to you. I would be happy to do that. Dana says, when you pull kids to your teacher station, is the entire group or pull only kids that you feel like you need to meet with? I do both, actually, Dana. So sometimes I will pull the entire small group, or sometimes I will pull one kid from station 1, one kid from station 2, 2 kids from station 4, depending on who I want to work with, that particular day or that particular time. Lindsay says, how long does it take to go through the process of getting stations running? I would suggest about 2 to 4 weeks. When I first started, I took 6 weeks to really get my stations going because I really wanted to make sure it was successful. Wow, getting a lot of questions. I'm pulling it up here. Lisa says, how do you get over the whole class not doing the same thing at the same time? Well, when I first introduced stations, Lisa, everyone is doing the same thing. And then as I get my students to practice stations, then I introduce a new activity so that not everyone is doing the same thing at the same time. Athena says, how do you check their work? I will collect their work. I don't grade everything. Don't grade everything because you will be insane. You will go crazy. And some things I check for accuracy, some things I check for completion, and then I just pass back. Joanna says, how do you make stations work with a 42-minute class, especially when you have to cover a new concept just about every day? That's, so I would spend like 10 minutes. If you have 42 minutes, I would spend 10 minutes reviewing what I did the previous day. And then I would not do stations every day. You don't have to do stations every day. You could do stations once a week or twice a week, especially if you are limited on time. And then when you do stations, you are working on reviewing skills because your students are not going to be like perfect with the skills that you're teaching, especially if you're teaching a new concept every day. So the stations will be perfect to keep those previous skills top of mind. It will, stations are going to be great for your students to review those previous skills, especially what they're weak on, and especially those skills that they haven't seen in a while. So again, I would, review on your stations days. I would review for 10 minutes and then spend the last 30 minutes doing 2 stations, 15 minutes per station. I hope that answers your question. Tina suggests there's a website called Smart Exchange for Smartboard already made, and NCTM has interactive things for Smartboards as well. Thanks, Tina, that's awesome. And then Heather says, iExcel is a great resource to help identify small groups to differentiate and pull out. Awesome. And iExcel, is iExcel free? Maybe not. No, it's not free. But yes, iExcel is great if you have that as a resource. So let's talk about the teacher station. Teacher stations will not be effective if your students don't know what to do without you, okay? So they have to know how to do the activity that you are introducing. So whatever it is, task cards, coloring pages, etc. They have to know how to work independently. Be sure to practice your stations, again, 2 to 4 times over the course of 2 to 4 weeks without adding a teacher station, okay? Again, I really suggest 2 to 4 times over the course of 2 to 4 weeks without adding a teacher station. And me personally, when I first started, like all from scratch, I practiced for 6 weeks because I really wanted my students to know what to do without me before I added a teacher station in. Did it feel like a long time? Yes, it did, because it was a long time. You don't have to do 6 weeks. It just depends on your students and their ability levels. Make sure students can complete each station activity you will be using independently before adding a teacher station. Dan says 2 to 4 times per week for 2 to 4 weeks. Not 2 to 4 times a week. No. However way you want to break it up. If you don't have time 4 times a week to do stations, then don't do 4 times. But make sure you're practicing 2 to 4 times over, however way you want to break it up. Because I know sometimes in our schedules, we don't have the ability to do stations 4 days a week. I do stations 2 days a week. Because this is what we want our goal to be. This is what we want our reality to be. Students to be working, doing multiple activities, switching, throughout the period, and then you are able to work with a small group too. And the teacher station is beautiful because you are able to reach those struggling learners. You are able to reach those higher level learners. You are able to reach those students who have struggling with difficult behaviors. And let's be honest, those students who struggle, who give you the hardest time with their behavior, need you the most, okay? So when your students get to sit with you at your VIP table, then they feel like they are a star. So we really, the teacher station is amazing for those students who have struggling behaviors. And it really allows you to reteach, okay? It really allows you to reteach. So the teacher station allows you to pull random groups. So earlier, we had a question about, do I pull full groups? Sometimes I do pull full groups, and you can do that. Or you can pull random kids from random groups. You can reteach, send them back. And sometimes what I do is I'll just pull kids and say, hey, any questions on this task card? No? Okay, great. Just checking in on you. Next, and then you pull another group. The advantage of the teacher station is your students are trained, and they can be trained. Remember that. You can differentiate further, however way you have to do that. Lower, higher, whatever you need. And then your students are accountable. Okay, what questions do you have? I saw a couple come in. Lisa says, when you introduce and they all do the same station, how long would that last? Yes, a regular 15-minute. So if you are on a block schedule, this could be 30 minutes, but if you're on, 45-minute, then this could just be 15 minutes. Absolutely. And then they, yes. Kelly says, how do you utilize a paraprofessional who is not comfortable with math? If you are lucky enough to have a paraprofessional, that is amazing. And they can certainly work, at a station, and I would try to give them concepts that they are comfortable with and give them the answer key so that they can check students' work and make sure students are on the right track. Lydia says, how do you use a co-teacher and assistant with stations? If you have a co-teacher, then I would have, when you are introducing stations, have both of you walking around, answering questions, making sure behaviors and kids are on task, and really modeling how they're supposed to be. And then when you have your teacher station set up, maybe your co-teacher can work with the higher level learners and you work with the struggling learners, or however way that you want to set it up. But then you can have 2 teacher stations, and that would be even cooler. Lisa says, do you mix up the groups daily, weekly, or monthly? I mix mine up every 2 weeks, I would say, every 2 weeks. Cynthia says, will we be able to see this PowerPoint again? Train, differentiate. What was the third concept? Train, differentiate. I'm not sure where that was. Train, differentiate, model. We want to really be able to. Are you talking about the teacher station, or I'm not sure, Cynthia, but I will send you a copy of this. I will send you a copy of this training in your email. But we want to train our students so that we can differentiate for them, so that they can work independently, so that we can reach all of our learners. You're welcome. Okay, so let's talk about why you showed up today. You're feeling overwhelmed, unsure of how to implement these math stations in your classroom, not sure how to be successful. You had a ton of questions. Yes, everyone will get a copy of this training. You're feeling overwhelmed and unsure. And you were probably wondering, how do I make stations work so I can teach my students, leave school at a reasonable hour each day, and enjoy my life like a normal person? It's time for you to elevate your teaching, teach smarter, not harder, with freedom generating lesson plans. You can eliminate the guesswork, time, and planning all year long and be the best teacher at school while being your best at home. You can teach your classes one of 2 ways: alone and overwhelmed, which sucks. I know firsthand what that feels like. Or you can be relaxed and supported. I also know firsthand what this feels like. Do you want to implement realistic stations and lesson plans for your students each day, all year long, without having to spend hours on the internet searching for activities and piecing everything together yourself? Doesn't it suck if you are spending time trying to find things on the internet and the things that you're searching for doesn't work for your students? I would love to invite you to join me inside of the Pre-Algebra Teachers Lesson Plan community. I created this community because when I first started teaching 12 years ago, when I first started teaching middle school math, I was given a key to my classroom by my principal, and he looked at me and said, "Good luck," and walked away. I had 0 resources, no support. I was brand new to the school, and I was teaching multiple subjects, like many of you guys are, multiple grades, and I was lost. I had nothing. And I was spending hours on the internet searching for stuff. I dreaded every Sunday night because I didn't know what I was doing on Monday. I was the first car in the parking lot every morning and the last car to leave every night. I was neglecting my friends. I was neglecting my boyfriend at the time, who is now my husband, and it was terrible. So I want to welcome you. I would love to invite you to join me inside of our Pre-Algebra Teachers Lesson Plan community. We're a full bell-to-bell lesson plan community where you will get daily bell ringers, PowerPoint notes for every chapter, practice problems, engaging activities, test quizzes, and answer keys. Earlier, Lisa asked, where do you get your resources? And everything is inside of our membership, because I created this so that you can have engaging resources for your students, be successful every day, and get the support that you need and that you simply deserve. Gina says, I took advantage of the membership and tried my first integer lesson today. It was great to just jump in and teach with no prep whatsoever. Michelle says, amazing product. My students truly love this, and so do I. It truly has been successful in me making my students successful. Thank you, tons. Michelle is actually a special ed teacher as well. So if you have special ed kids in your classroom, perfect. For those of you who teach 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, or a combination of both, or all of both, of all three, you get access to everything. Our bell ringers, our PowerPoint notes, our practice problems, our engaging activities, our mazes, coloring pages, sort cards, test quizzes, answer keys for everything. So what do the materials actually look like? Our lesson plans are aligned to Common Core, and yes, Joanna, it is aligned, everything is aligned to Texas TEKS. So this is our lesson plan, what it looks like for Common Core. This is what it looks like for Texas TEKS. I love Texas, and I do not want to ever forget about my Texas teachers. So everything is aligned to Texas TEKS as well. So if you have to turn in lesson plans to your administrators, all you have to do is just simply print and go. And there's a spot for you to include accommodations if you need to include accommodations. And there's a spot for you to include in your lesson plan for reflection. So if you want to teach, if you teach this in the following year, you have notes to yourself on what works and what didn't. This is what our bell ringer looks like. So I call my bell ringers the daily flash because we do them daily in a flash. And we have bell ringers or warm-ups or whatever you want to call it to go along with every single concept. So this is chapter 3-1. Every single bell ringer has 4 questions. And of course you get an answer key. We have PowerPoint notes for every single chapter for 6th, 7th, and we'll be finishing up 8th grade by the end of the summer. 8th grade has already started going into the membership already, but it'll be fully finished at the end of the summer. We have practice problems, usually between 20 and 25 questions each. We have engaging activities, perfect for stations like task cards. We have engaging activities like sort cards, which is perfect for stations. We have mazes, which is perfect for stations, and who doesn't love a good maze? My students love this. We have coloring pages. We have answer keys for everything, including our tests and quizzes. So here's what you get. You get your bell ringers, you get your PowerPoint notes, you get practice problems for every chapter, you get all of our engaging resources like mazes, coloring pages, sort cards, spinner math, and more, tests and quizzes, answer keys for everything. And you get awesome new material added regularly. You get to request specific content if you need it. You get to be part of a private Facebook group and a private forum for support. Melissa says, I'm a special education teacher. We just got done with teaching these concepts. This is my first year teaching math and it has been rough. I am so glad this group has been formed. Thank you. You're welcome, Melissa. As a bonus, you get resources, new resources, and support to make life easier, added regularly. You get a full bundle of task cards, which is over $100 value. You get to participate every month with us in our video get-togethers. I fully believe that when I first started, I had no support. There was no other teacher, no administrator that was helping me. And it really, really sucked. It felt like I was alone. And as a teacher in the classroom, I know we can't do this job alone. We have so many moving parts. We have so many things that stress us out. So our monthly calls, you get support directly from me with whatever you need, whether or not you're having dealing with difficult parent, whether or not you're dealing with difficult administrator, if you have an observation coming up, if you're dealing with, a struggling student. We get together every month and we help each other. You get, as a bonus in our membership, our reflection sheet that I showed you earlier. Are you ready to use lessons for your math stations without spending hours searching the internet, taking up family time so you can actually have a life? How do you feel guilty because you don't get to spend time with your own kids or your spouse or your friends? It really sucks. And you don't deserve that. You deserve to have a life outside the classroom. Jennifer says, I love your lesson plans. I am definitely only spending a few minutes a week now lesson planning. A few minutes a week, guys. I get to leave my classroom every day around 2:30. My school gets out at 2:05 and I get to leave at 2:30 because all my lesson plans are done. Can you imagine being able to leave your classroom at 2:30 or 3 o'clock after school to go pick up your kids, to go make dinner? It's possible. Let's take a look behind the scenes. I want to give you a behind the scenes tour of what our community looks like. So I'm going to just make this a little smaller. I'm going to click here. Okay, so here's what our forums look like. So when you log in, when you become a member, you will be able to tell us who you are, where you're from, right here in our first day of school forum. We have a teacher's lounge forum where you come ask questions and get support. We have a staff meeting forum where you can just come and vent because sometimes we just need that. This is our daily flash forum right here. So this is where you will get access to all the warm-ups. So 4 questions for each of your concepts that you're going to teach. I want to show you that we also have a How I Teach forum where I've created videos for you on how I teach adding integers, how I teach subtracting integers, how I teach long division. I have a tried and true way of how I teach adding integers and subtracting integers. Amy, thank you for looking on the website. It is not that price. I'm giving you a special price today. So I want to show you what the materials look like. So here is our 6th and 7th grade forums right here. If you need materials to go back to school, we have a first day of school bundle for you. So activities for you to go back to school. These are all the activities that I use for the first day. We have get up interactive activities, 2 truths and a lie, super fun stuff that I use in my own classroom on the first day. We have, in case you need a syllabus, we have a syllabus for you to make your own. You are obviously not Mrs. Martin, so you can edit the syllabus to however way you need to for your classroom. Okay, so let's jump in. I want to show you if you are in a Common Core state and you need to turn in lesson plans, here's your lesson plan for you to just print and turn into your administrator. If you are in Texas, then boom, right here. This is your Texas TEK lesson plan. You can turn it into your administrator. This is our solving equations by adding and subtracting PowerPoint. So you can see here's our introductory slide. Here are examples and vocabulary and examples. We have practice problems for solving equations by adding and subtracting. Boom, 25 questions with an answer key. We have a maze activity for adding and subtracting equations. We have a board game. This is my board game for adding and subtracting integers. Adding and subtracting equations. These are the puzzle, these are the pieces, and these are all your questions. And of course, with an answer key. I wouldn't leave you hanging without one. If you scroll down further, we have everything. So this is all our 6th and 7th grade materials. And as you scroll down, this is our 8th grade materials. As I mentioned, 8th grade, right now we have chapters 1, which is number systems, and 2, equations and inequalities up. Chapter 3, 4, 5, everything for the slope, everything for quadratics, everything's for, everything for 8th grade will be up by August. Teresa says the amount of materials is amazing. Thanks, Teresa. It really is amazing. I wish I had this 10 years ago when I first started because I had nothing. Will you have 8th grade done by the beginning of school? Yes, it will be done at the latest end of August. I am working diligently getting these 8th grade materials up because I know so many of our teachers need them. We have a forum for chapter tests, scavenger hunts. So all of our board games are here inside of our classroom games forum. And then we have more trainings for you just like this inside of our community. Okay, so what's the investment? The true value is priceless. And I know that's kind of corny, but it's true because the reality is, what is your time worth? You know, when you are part of our community, you will have more time in your life, more time for your family, more time for your kids, more time for you. You'll have less stress and you'll be able to inspire and engage your students inside of your classroom. The total package, you get full bell-to-bell lesson plans for grades 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. You get bonuses, including regular updated resources, full bundle of task cards, members only monthly calls with direct support from me. You get our student reflection sheet and a private Facebook group. If you look, as Amy did on our website, it is currently $49 a month, which is a great price because it breaks down to $1.63 a day. Or you can join as an annual member for $499 a year, which is only $1.37 a day. But we can do better than that because you're an amazing teacher. You are here joining me today. You are wanting to learn and implement and be successful with stations. Your special pricing today is you get to save, if you choose to be a monthly member, you will save $10 a month. So you'll join at $39 a month. Or if you choose to be an annual member, you'll save $100 for the year and you get 2 bonus months free. So you will join at $399 and be a member for 14 months. Okay, so you have 2 options. Your option 1 is 95 cents a day. That's $399 for the year and you get 2 months free. So all you have to do if you want to choose option 1 is click on that offers tab right underneath this screen. You'll see an offers tab and then you will click the join now tab and enter the code SAVE100 at the final checkout page. Or option 2, your investment is $1.30 a day, which is $39 a month, and you can cancel any time. If you want to choose this option, all you have to do is click on, again, that offers tab, click the join now button, select the monthly option, and enter the coupon code SAVE10. I want you to be able to take advantage of this amazing savings. It is not offered anywhere. As Amy said, on the website, it is way more expensive and this is not offered anywhere else. It's only offered to you because you are joining me on this training. Teresa says, how is the monthly membership different than the yearly? The monthly is you pay monthly. You can cancel anytime using the coupon code SAVE10. The annual option is actually a lot cheaper because you get to be part of our membership for only 95 cents a day. But you will be part of our membership for 14 months instead of the usual 12, which is amazing. I never do 2 free months of anything. So the annual price is a really great option. So the most flexible plan is our monthly option. So again, that coupon code is SAVE10, but the best value is SAVE100. What questions do you have? Kathy says, I'm going to try to get to school, pay for this. So how long will we be able to redeem this offer? Kathy, if you would like your school to pay for this, I will be happy to honor this price for you. And we also do have, because you can do a purchase order. I'm happy to do that. And what was I going to say? I lost my train of thought. Oh, and we also do multi-teacher discounts too. So if you, Kathy, have more than one teacher at your school site who could benefit from this, we offer, again, multi-teacher discounts for your school to do a purchase order. Dan says, we do our curriculum in different orders. So do you have access to everything from day one? Dan, absolutely. So I have created everything. I've laid everything out so it kind of goes in chronological order, but you can pick and choose whatever you want to teach in whatever order you want. Because I know everyone uses a different curriculum. Everyone everyone does everything differently. So you can absolutely pick and choose, and you have access to everything. Carol says, do you have an option to purchase only one grade? 6. Carol, you don't have the option to only pick one grade because I fully want everyone to have access to everything. Because if you have since you teach 6th grade, if you have kids who are a little bit higher level learners, and you want them to access to the 7th grade stuff, or maybe even 8th grade stuff, I want you to be able to have access to that. So I want everyone to everything. Teresa says, if you do the monthly option, do you still have access to all the grade level materials? Yes, ma'am. You have access to everything, whether you are a monthly or a annual member. Kathy says, can you send information on purchase order as well as multi-teacher to my email? Absolutely. Can you do me a favor and just put your email into the comments so I have it, if you don't mind? If you don't mind everyone in here having your email, and I will send you the purchase order information. The purchase order, please note, is annual option only. We don't do purchase orders for monthly options. Thank you, Kathy. I will send you an email. Thank you for giving that to me. Okay, so what am I getting again? You are getting Common Core and Texas TEKS lesson plans, PowerPoints for every chapter, engaging activities like task cards, sort cards, mazes, and more, tests and quizzes with every answer key, ongoing support, handling real life classroom situations on our monthly calls. You get personal one-to-one support from me so that I can help you with whatever you need. Let's get started. Click that blue Join Now button underneath this screen. Decide if you want, choose whether or not you want to join as a monthly member or an annual member, and choose to inspire and engage your students. Choose freedom. Choose to get time back into your life, and choose to live your life without guilt, because you deserve to spend more time with your kids. You deserve to be able to pick up your kids from school, make a healthy dinner instead of eating Cheetos and wine for dinner, because trust me, I've been there. I speak from experience, and you deserve to go home at a reasonable hour. Okay, what questions do you have? Dan says, I may have missed it, but for those that aren't doing the purchase order, how long do we have to decide on this offer? Dan, you will have, this offer will be going away on Sunday. This will expire on Sunday. Carol says, do you have a scope and sequence unit list to show before purchase the skills and order of skills presented? Yes, I can. It's not called a scope and sequence. It is called, what do I call it? My curriculum map. Wow, that took me a minute. Let me see if I can send you, let me see if I can do the link right here. Sorry if you heard that weird noise. Is my dog who just sneezed. Okay, here is a curriculum map with all of the concepts that we cover. Dana says, I like for the multi-teacher and the info if the school is going to pay for it. Oh, Dana, okay, great. So you included your email. I will send that to you, no problem. Heather says, thank you for your time, Kathy. You're inspirational. Heather, you are inspirational because you're joining me during your busy summertime. Teresa says, do the memberships start now if you sign up today or when the school year starts? It starts today as soon as you sign up. Some questions that I get include, I have a lot of special education 504 students in my classroom. What about them? This will be perfect for them because I'm a special ed math teacher and this works for any type of students you might have. I see a lot of you are popping into that curriculum map. So let me know if you have questions about the curriculum map. If you have questions about any of the concepts, the curriculum map does show all the concepts for 8th grade too that's going in. Can I buy the resources a la carte? This is a big question that I get, you guys. Can I buy the resources separately? And the answer is no, because I want to show you. This is what it looks like when you buy things a la carte within the membership. So this is like 1-1, PowerPoint, practice problems, coloring pages. This is just chapter 1, and this does not include our warm-ups. It doesn't include our tests. It doesn't include our board games. And it just chapter 1 itself is $51.95. And let me just say, we're all math teachers here. Who wants to spend $51 when you can spend 95 cents, right? Like, that would be dumb. So that's why I want to give you access to everything instead of a la carte, because you're just going to end up spending more money. And that's what happens when you search the internet for resources here and there. You only get one resource anyway, and then you're stuck trying to find resources for the next thing, you know? So why do that? I'm super overwhelmed. Where do I even start? Start with us. Choose the best plan for you, whether or not you want to join as a monthly or an annual. If you join as an annual, you get, remember, 2 months free, and it's not offered anywhere else. And all you have to do is use the coupon code SAVE10 for our monthly option or SAVE100 for our annual option. So you're going to click on that offers tab underneath the screen, click on that blue Join Now button, and then enter decide monthly or annual, whatever you want, and then enter, there is a box for the discount code. You will see it towards the bottom of the screen. The discount code for your option, your monthly option, is SAVE10, and your discount code for your annual option is SAVE100. So don't forget to use that discount code. It's super, super important because I want you to save money. Catherine says, I already feel better about next year. Yes, Catherine, I'm so excited. I see that you joined our membership. I'm so excited to have you. I'm so excited to work with you because you are going to feel and just have a much better school year because you're going to have access to everything. Everything's going to be laid out for you. You're going to be able to like boop, boop, log in, bam, ready to go. Okay, so in order to access your freebies that I promised you earlier, remember, you get your certificate for 1 hour professional development, and you get your Math Stations instruction card. Kathy says, any way you can extend your offer until the 25th due to payday in case schools will not purchase right now. Kathy, let's email back and forth. I'm happy to do that for you. Lisa says, do you know if anyone has used this in combination with Discovery Education online math curriculum? Lisa, I'm not familiar with that curriculum, but I know that people have used this with all sorts of different curriculum as a supplement, because if you are lucky enough to have curriculum, we have many teachers who are lucky enough to have curriculum, and they use this as an amazing supplement to the curriculum that they do have. So in order to access the freebies, go on ahead to this URL, prealgebrateachers.com/mathstationstraining to access your freebies today. I, again, want to take a few minutes. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for joining me at our training today. I so appreciate you taking time out of your precious summer. I know you're super limited time, and I'm just so happy to be able to share this information with you. If you have any other questions, let me know. Kathy says, any way to share this with my administrator? Yes, Kathy, I'm going to send everyone an email with this training, so you can feel free to forward this to your administration, and I will email you a link to our purchase order form, so you can share that with your administrators as well. Does that work for you? Awesome. Yay. Thank you. Okay, great. Perfect. I will do that. I will email you right after we get off this training with our purchase order link. And then I will also email you, Dana, for our purchase order as well. If you have any other, Lisa says, I would like this too. You would like our purchase order form? Is that what you're asking me, Lisa? Okay, no problem. I will email that to you as well. I am happy to do that. If you have any other questions, please let me know. I am so excited for those of you who are joining me today, who are going to inspire and engage your students inside the classroom and still have a life outside the classroom. Thank you again so much. I look forward to seeing you inside of our community. And the URL for the freebies is right at the bottom of the screen, right underneath where it says thank you. So you can access it right there. Again, the URL for the freebies is right at the bottom of the screen. It's prealgebrateachers.com/mathstationstraining. Again, you will be able to grab your 1 hour professional development and your Math Stations instruction card. Thank you so much. I appreciate all of you for being here today. I hope that I was able to give you a ton of information so that you can be successful with your stations. See you guys inside of our community. Talk to you soon. Bye.